Hey, this is Robert at Guzzi Fabrication. Today is rust repair day. Okay, we're going to walk you through the steps on how to get a really nice, clean, body filler free rust repair. We're going to go from that ugly to this rust repaired, metal finished, no body filler. All we're going to need to do to this repair is 2 or 3 coats of high build primer will be gold. I'm going to walk you through the whole thing. Okay, now this is a 1964 Impala fender. This is a really common rust area, or area that rusts out, let me say. Okay, we've got it on the outside plus the inner brace. Man, you know it's going to do that one too. Okay, we're going to show you how to do both of them. Okay, now I'm using this flap wheel because it takes off the least amount of metal. That's always really important because we need all the metal thin already. We don't want to make it thinner. Don't want to use a grinding wheel or anything like that. Okay, now we want really nice straight lines. It's going to be really important in the repair. And we're going to cut out the outer skin. And we need a very nice template. Okay, I'm using a 1/32 cutoff wheel. You don't want to go very deep because there is a brace behind this. We don't want to make more work for ourselves. Okay, let's see what we've got. Okay, there's the ugly. And that's our template. And let's see how many holes we have. Okay, well, it's not too bad. Uh, a lot of times this is a lot worse than this. Yeah, we can deal with this. We're good to go. Okay, now this is just a little spot blaster I picked up from Harbor Freight. This is going to make the job so much nicer. And the welding goes so much easier. We always want to do this anyway to get rid of all the rust that we can. Okay, we want to make nice clean cuts, and we want to cut out we only want to cut to good solid metal. We don't want to cut out more than we have to. And I'm using a little carbide bit here. It's going to be a lot easier than trying to cut it with the cutoff wheel. Okay, it's template time. We've got our piece cut out. Now we need to make a template so we can transfer that to metal and we can get an accurate piece to put it back in and weld in. And get all the right contours, all of that. Okay, there it is. We've got some 18 gauge steel and our bend, and that's our brake line. Okay, now you're going to notice I'm not using a hammer because I don't want to put a crisp 90 or make a crisp 90. That brace has a slight roll. It's not a crisp 90. We want to follow the contour. Okay, so let's check fitment. I can live with that. And I just made this little flat piece for the other rust area. Okay, so we're going to be MIG welding. MIG welding, ground is very critical. Now I've got a TIG welder, but most of you guys are going to be working with MIG welders, so that's what we're going to use. And we've got the piece in place. Going to get a couple tacks on that thing and take off. Okay, so we've got the bottom tack, and I'm going to hold the top of it And I'm also squeezing that top because it has some little ridges. I'm just going to squeeze that thing down so that it's flat. Now we can take off welding. So because we have prepped this area, media blasting, and we have good clean steel, the welding process is going to go so much better. It's going to cut down on spatter. It's going to cut down on porosity, on just ugly welds. We're going to get such a nice weld. Welding, everything's in the prep and fit up. And then you have the ability to make good welds. Okay, we're going to brush that off. Now, once we repair the skin or the fender's skin, this area is going to be inaccessible. But we're going to prep all of that and take care of it. First, we're going to get this other little area knocked out. And the better the welding, the less the grinding. Everything's going our way so far. It's looking good. And here's what we have. Metal work is done. Okay, now once this fender is on, this area will never be seen. But I'm going to go ahead and do some body work. I've already done it. Seam sealed and primed. That's what it looks like. Now on the inside, POR 15 or some other encapsulator. And then we're going to seam seal around the areas that we welded. And that inside is buttoned up. It doesn't have to be pretty. That no one will ever be able to see that. All that needs to be is protected, and that's what we're doing. We don't want to be crazy with the seam sealer and get it up on the inside. Okay, here's where it all gets really critical. If you just try to put a flat piece of metal without contouring it first, you're going to have problems. Okay, so our template, that's why we took our time, cut our template, or cut our piece out really nicely, was ginger with it, because we need that as a template. Now, I'm rolling or pulling that thing to the optimal spot of the contour. And you have to keep in mind, don't bring it all the way to the edge. The piece that we cut out, rusted piece, because we took off material. We need to account for that. Okay, now we want to use the dull or the blunt Sharpie here because we want a fatter line than the sharp one would give us. And we want to cut the outside of that line. And again, we want to make a really nice, clean cut, straight cut. From here on out, everything's going to be critical to get a metal finish job. Okay, now we could do this two ways. We could just push this piece that we just fabricated, the donor piece, slide it up underneath all the way, then weld along that seam. Boom, call it a day. Quick and easy. We'd have to use body filler though. That's not what we're going to do. We're going to metal finish. Now, be advised, it will take much longer to do it this way, but the result, I mean, it's a professional, solid, awesome result. When you're finished with it, you're going to be very proud of yourself. And yes, you can do this. Okay, this is the most critical point. Starting off, the metal has to be, we have our contour. The metal has to be flush and parallel with each other. 1/32 cutoff wheel. Don't use anything wider than that. You're going to make a mess. One other trick is you can angle the cutoff wheel to make an even smaller gap. When you're MIG welding, you need a gap. When you're TIG welding, you want to butt the metal. If you butt the metal and weld it with a MIG welder, you're gonna have problems. Okay, this little tool that I'm using, that's just to get in there and keep that flush. Now, when you start welding, introduce heat to metal, it'll start moving around on you. It'll either sink, swell, try to push the piece away. You have to constantly keep it in line. You'll have to go really slow. The important part here is to keep all of it anchored in the correct position. You can see we've got it going our way. That can go south real fast. Okay, so now that we have 3 sides anchored, we're going to tackle this. Now this side is really unsupported. If you put a lot of heat on it, it'll sink. You'll have to tap it from the back side to push it back up and keep it straight. The main part of this is just going slow. I'm zooming in so I can show you what I'm doing here with this little tool. I don't remember what it's called. Carpet knife or something, I don't know. Anyway, it works great. And we want to keep everything nice. And you can also use it to ensure everything is flush. And we just need little tacks here. No, we don't want to put a bunch of heat into it. It'll wreck us. Okay, keeping it clean, wire brushing it. Man, that looks really, really good. We're ready to start going around and finish welding. And we're going to have a solid bead all the way around. It's going to take a while. It's going to be tack, tack, move, wait, tack, let it cool off. Once we're to that point, now we're going to use a grinding wheel. And this is so critical because this will wreck everything if you don't do this correctly. We don't want to dig a trough, ditch, or make the metal uneven grinding. We want to take our time, go slowly, bring it to flush. Then we'll use several other tools to, like a flap wheel, a different type of flap wheel, a round one, instead of the one I used before. Blend it all in. Then we'll switch to a tool like this. This is 36 grit. Now we can blend it off everything. It's going to turn out. It's going to be beautiful. Take your time. This is the result. Hey, why not do it the best that we can? And I've showed you all of the steps how to do it. You can do this at home. This is for the DIY guys. You can have nice stuff too. Hey man, a couple coats of high build primer and you're gold. No body filler. Hit that like, subscribe, leave a comment, help the algorithm. As always, thank you for watching.